We got a massive update on Kristaps Porzingis' injury status, saying that he is fully healthy with no limitations heading into the season. That plus Jayson Tatum made a shocking change to his body in preparation for this upcoming season, and Jaylen Brown speaks out. Some positive, some negative about the Celtics' recent trades. So you'll want to stick around for all that on this episode of Celtics Digest. But before I dive into the first topic, we want to remind you guys that over 90% of you who are watching this video are not subscribed. And if you love daily or close to daily Boston Celtics content, we'll have content for you all season long. So hit that button. You will not regret it. I promise. Bruce, let's dive into this. Jaylen Brown speaks out on some of the Celtics trades. Now, we got a couple of things that he said during the media day today. Of course, if you guys didn't catch it, media day was today. Pretty much every Celtics player, staff member had interviews, and there was a lot to say. One of the things Jaylen Brown said about losing Marcus Smart and Rob Williams, it's like going through high school and middle school with someone. You grow up with these guys, so for them to not be around is a little weird, but everybody had a journey. I know these guys are going to do great. Bruce, Jaylen Brown, of course, is the consummate professional, but you gotta think he's a little upset about these moves, and you could really see it in his attitude. I mean, I'm sure he understands why they were made, but boy, it was a little sad seeing this topic covered today.
Yes, Jaylen Brown, when he was asked this question, said it was a bittersweet moment for him to let go of guys like Robert Williams and Malcolm Brogdon, as they did bring a lot to the Celtics team. But bringing in Jrue Holiday, he did mention that he's a very good player and that speaks highly on Jrue Holiday. Jrue Holiday is a good defender for the other opponent team, so having him alongside of him, he won't have to have him defend Jaylen Brown, which is a plus for Jaylen Brown.
Yes.
And Jaylen Brown also was like very happy for the direction of this team and saying how he wants to be a little bit more vocal for the Celtics team. So I like that as well.
Yeah, and you got to think like that one word in that quote really stood out to me, and that's weird. And I think weird is one of the best words we can use to describe this offseason for the Boston Celtics. The heart of the team and Marcus Smart has gone. Rob Williams, one of these guys that we grew from an underrated prospect into a very solid big man. And you got to think it's weird for Jaylen Brown. But like you said, he also had a lot of praise, right? It wasn't just sad. It was speaking on Jrue Holiday as a competitor. He's an assassin. He's a competitor, and to play with him is a tremendous honor. And yeah, you said speaks highly, but I mean, I think that was putting it lightly. Oh, look, Jaylen Brown sounds like he is hyped to play with Jrue Holiday.
Yeah, he is very hyped to play alongside of him, have him kind of be the other guard alongside Jaylen Brown. The one thing about Celtics media today that wasn't really talked about was the starting lineup. They have a varieties of times that they can do a starting lineup, and that wasn't like a main priority today. So I think Jaylen Brown can kind of see himself playing alongside Jrue Holiday and playing in lineups alongside Jrue and Derrick White. And also something I mentioned about Jaylen Brown as well. He said that he's the longest tenured Celtic, which was actually kind of shocking to hear about today and the media day. He was very kind of concerned, like, wow, I've been here for a long time. You know what I mean? I'm kind of getting older, but he's very experienced and very happy to take that stand for the Celtics this season.
Yeah, and I mean, he's been around for a while, and after that new contract, he's going to be around for a lot longer. The richest man in the NBA, but yeah, some positive, some negative, but Jaylen Brown definitely is ready to go for this season with this new look Celtics team. But it's not just him. As his buddy, his teammate, Jayson, I almost said Jaylen Brown again, Jayson Tatum, had kind of a shocking transformation, Bruce. We saw him sit down at media day. He looked a little different, and he was asked, hey, like, what's going on? You look a little different. He said, well, I gained 10 to 12 pounds of muscle and set some personal lifting records this summer. Bruce, I mean, like, for a guy like Tatum, who is already so versatile offensively and defensively, this change to his game could be game-changing.
Exactly. I totally agree with you, Josh. Tatum, when he sat down at the chair, Eddie House and Mark D'Amico actually were talking about how his shoulders looked a lot bigger. And they were like, wow, you grew so much. And he was like, yeah, I grew 10 to 12 pounds. Kind of said it very confidently, but just like lightheartedly, like it was nothing. He also spoke about how he worked out with Paul Pierce over the summer. I know we've covered that here on Celtics Digest, but he said that him and Paul Pierce had worked out for 4 weeks nonstop, and that Paul Pierce even lost 10 to 15 pounds while working out with this team. And Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett has said to Tatum and Brown that they want to start building their connections back with Boston and getting back with Boston, which I think is great for Tatum and for Brown as well. Tatum had a lot of great comments today at this media day, not just including his gayness of muscle, but just overall a great media day from Tatum.
Yeah, he's shown why he's the leader of this team, really. And well, he's one of them. He's the face of the franchise. He's a top 5 player in the NBA, if you ask me, right? And he's doing all the right things, right? Like you said, reaching out. He's going to be with Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, these legends who have a ton to teach him. And honestly, Paul Pierce and Jayson Tatum, like very similar players in a lot of ways. So Tatum, already as good as he is, definitely has a lot to learn from Pierce. But yeah, this muscle specifically, Bruce. I mean, how do you see this helping his game? Because to me, I think not only will it help him defensively to maybe be a little bit stronger for opponents driving into him, because of course he's kind of been seen as a bit of a skinnier player so far in his career, but also offensively being able to get to the rim, which he's already very good at. Can you imagine a world where Tatum is even better at driving and finishing? I feel like this is just gonna elevate his game to another level.
I totally agree. And I think that the Celtics knew that when they asked him this questions because Tatum, when he was addressed about putting on muscle, he said that he put on this muscle to be a better attacker at the rim. He wants to be able to drive at the rim and be a more of a force at the rim. And also said that with defense coming in the NBA, he also wants to make an all defensive team. Him and Jaylen Brown made that very prevalent today, saying that that will help them with their careers in the long run, which I really like for the Boston Celtics. But he also said that like you said, being a little bit skinnier and frail on the defensive side of the ball, they want to be able to lock these guards up and help protect them so that they can't get to the rim because obviously we have some problems at the rim.
Yeah, it's a really fantastic change and like something we weren't really expecting, right? You just walk in, you're like, what happened to this guy? And yeah,
Mhm.
super excited for this season because yeah, a lot of these changes are awesome. But it's not only Jaylen Brown, it's not only Jayson Tatum. The newest acquisition, well, I guess not the newest anymore with Jrue Holiday, but one of the major acquisitions of this offseason is Kristaps Porzingis, and we got a huge injury update. And if you guys weren't paying attention, well, you should right now because Kristaps Porzingis said he's feeling great and has no limitations physically after dealing with plantar fasciitis over the summer. Now, plantar fasciitis has been a problem for a lot of big men in NBA history. I mean, we see a trend with tall big men in the league having foot problems, whether it's Yao Ming from back in the day, even Chet Holmgren this past season. But Kristaps Porzingis has had some injuries in his past, but this was the most recent one, though he had quite a healthy year last year, Bruce. And to hear that he's healthy heading into training camp, I feel like we couldn't have possibly gotten better news.
Yes, the Celtics were super excited to see Kristaps Porzingis, the fans and the people interviewing. He was the last guy on the Celtics media day today to get interviewed, and all great things coming out of Kristaps Porzingis. Obviously, him being healthy and ready. Guys like Brad Stevens, Joe Mazzulla saying they're expecting Kristaps Porzingis to add a nice element to the center position that the Celtics haven't been able to present before. Guys like Al Horford even saying that Kristaps Porzingis came into this training camp and is ready to go and can't wait to see how he plays alongside of him. But then when you look at Kristaps Porzingis, it gets even better because Kristaps Porzingis had so many great things to say about the Boston Celtics, saying that he had multiple offers to go to other teams, but he chose the Boston Celtics because he wanted to win. Says he could have gotten more money at those places as well, but he chose Boston as they were the true title contender. And before getting Jrue Holiday, he felt they were. Now with getting Jrue Holiday, he's even more confident. Even saying that he didn't go to Boston to get a good stat sheet, saying that he's going to go and make winning plays. And if there comes a point where he has to make a game-winning play for himself or to help out the team win a game, he might go that route of helping the team win. He's all in for buying in this team. Some of these other role players are as well, and that's what you'd love to see out of the Celtics team
Oh
at media
man,
day.
yeah, it's like you can't possibly get a better quote. Like Kristaps, of course, a guy who was on the New York Knicks, putting up a lot of stats, but injured for a while. Goes bounces kind of around the league to the Mavs and then to the Wizards, where he's kind of an unsung great player last year, right? Like, and he was quite good defensively. And like you mentioned before the show, Bruce, like he kind of said, like, yeah, they didn't really notice my defense last year. He didn't say it's because he was in Washington, but we can all infer that it was because he was in
Hmm.
Washington. But now that he's in Boston, he'll be able to show that rim protection, show that ability to stretch the floor, show all the positive things about Kristaps Porzingis that he's developed over his career because he's kind of been in other players' shadows, whether it's Luka Doncic, right, and then him getting injured as well and not showing up in the playoffs, and then goes to Washington, you don't notice him, and but now he's on the grand stage, what is considered kind of by many to be one of the super teams in the NBA right now in the Boston Celtics. He kind of has a lot to prove, but he's coming in here, like you said, with the exact right mindset of, I want to make winning plays. I want to contribute to winning for this team. I don't care if I put up 20 and 10. I'm just going to do whatever I can to help this team win. And yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to an amazing season from Kristaps. What about you?
I'm looking forward to an amazing season as well. I think him buying into that role of possibly being the third, fourth, maybe even fifth star of the night, depending on how he's shooting or how he's playing, I think adds a lot of versatility to the Celtics with their bench pieces as well. You have guys like Pritchard, who we've been talking about, maybe even getting a contract extension now with the less of guard depth, and a guy like that could play a great alongside Porzingis in a nice pick and roll. Same thing with Derrick White. Same thing with Jrue Holiday. There's so many possibilities that Kristaps Porzingis can bring to the Celtics offensively and defensively. And I think he's going to totally unleash that on a team that actually is going to get recognition. Like you said, the Wizards didn't get that much recognition last year. So he really was one of the best centers, but not much of the NBA knew how great of a season he had.
Yeah, it's a very good point. And, humility is hard to come by, especially in the NBA. But a guy like Kristaps coming and saying, look, I'm going to accept my role. At this point, I just want to win. Like, I put up the stats, but I want to win. That's exactly what you wanted, right? Like, it's all coming. It's all seeming to be a perfect storm for the Boston Celtics, provided he can stay healthy. Knock on wood. We're hoping he can. But yeah, he said all the right things. And boy, are we ever excited for this season. But that will do it for this episode of Celtics Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. The season is just around the corner, and we'll have a lot more content just like this for all you lovely people. I'm Josh Gosse, for my co-host Bruce Veliz. We'll catch you in the next one.